You're listening to the PlantX podcast, the digital face of the plant-based community. Join us as we explore the inner workings of all things plant-based, from the products and lifestyles to the people behind them. Each week we'll be touching on what's new in the ever-expanding world of PlantX and chat with everyone from entrepreneurs and chefs to nutritionists and scientists. Whether you follow a strict plant-based diet or just want to learn more, you're invited. Now welcome our host, the man who combined his love of e-commerce and the plant-based lifestyle to create PlantX, Sean Dollinger.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 19th episode of our Vodcast. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to join us and follow our story. You know, we go ahead and press release each week, and we try to go behind the scenes with the individuals that we press release, so you could see how unique the partnerships are and how interesting they are. We had a couple of press releases this week, one big one with Farm Cup Coffee. And we've got Diego Torres with us, who we'll bring on the show shortly. We also went ahead and announced another record-breaking month in January for a company that just had a website go live in April of 2020. To already go through $1 million a month in revenue is quite remarkable. I again thank our team very much for doing that. It's definitely all the hard work out there. And you know, everybody always says, what's PlantX all about? And at the end of the day, it's your one-stop shop for everything plant-based, from meal delivery, which this week we went ahead, or over the last couple of weeks, adding meal subscriptions. We all of a sudden see people going ahead and doing that, where they'll get 3 or 5 meal plans each week, to grocery, which we're about to do refrigerated and frozen items. We've added a couple great additions to the team in San Diego, to pet food verticals, to plants. And that's why we went ahead and registered recently our whole PlantX lifestyle, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. And I get asked often, you know, I've had many startups over the years, and PlantX obviously just got started. It was just an idea in December of 2019. After the last company that I had started went from 6 million to over $1.2 billion in a year and a half. I took what I knew, and you know, at the end of the day, people said, well, what do you want to do after this? And you could go start a charity or a foundation, but I always found you touched just a few individuals. You didn't get to make a full impact in the world, you know, and I think that foundations are phenomenal. They really help out people that have needs. But I really wanted to do something that changed the way people thought. And this past week, I lost my father to COVID in Montreal, and he was really my best friend in the world. And it was really tough to go through it. And it just reminded me, you know, how life is so fragile. And at the end of the day, that's why PlantX was started, to give people, hopefully, a longer, healthier, better quality life on the planet. And, you know, my father was extremely proud of PlantX and what it stood for. And, you know, again, love him very much, and thank him for all the support he gave me over the years to get me to the point where I'm at now. So, you know, on that note, I'd really love to bring on our guest today, who, you know, I had a chance to meet him about a month and a half ago, and he's a quite unique individual. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. You know, my first business I started, I was 17 years old. I've always thought about adding some of that into our weekly vodcast on tips, because obviously we've got investors and shareholders and customers who come on here, but they also want to go start businesses, and I get asked a lot of questions. And when speaking to Diego, he is such a unique individual. His energy that I felt on our first conversation ever, to even spending 30 minutes before our podcast going live today, how he really cares about giving back and teaching entrepreneurs about the uniqueness. It's not as easy as everybody thinks. And I always tell people, if you ever watch any podcasts I do, they say, hey, could you give us one tip for entrepreneurs out there? And I say, stick to your idea, stick to why you believed in it day one, and keep going after that dream, because it gets really difficult. It's really easy to get your website going or your business card printed, and you feel the momentum right away. But then you always hit a road. It's always happened to me, maybe 1 in a million. It doesn't. And even speaking to Diego today, he identified that. And he really spoke about how he helps the entrepreneurs out. So I have a ton of respect for him. And, Diego, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Sean. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Yeah, no, great. And today's a very unique question for you because it segues right into what we're doing with you. But how do you take your coffee?
I'm an almond milk latte guy. It's my thing. I try to source the best almond milk and the best espresso, but I'm basically a medium roast and the most cleanest almond milk I can find. And that's really it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and I haven't obviously had a chance to try Farm Cup coffee yet, but from what you've told me, they're an extremely unique company. We thank you very much, honestly, from all of our shareholders and investors, for including us in this beautiful collaboration that you've developed. And I guess that leads into my first question to you. What draws you to certain businesses out there?
It's similar to what you said. I think so many people, or what I look for is really people solving for impact. And so when I met Farm Cup Coffee, one of the things that they were doing that I really hadn't seen is they literally spend months with each farmer. And so they're literally eating from the land and wherever they're sourcing these beans and spending time with the farmers. And they're actually doing direct trade, like real direct trade, where they're buying directly from these farmers. And so that level of care is something that I value in entrepreneurs in general. And when I saw Farm Cup doing that and bringing that ethos to their brand, I thought, this is something that we should try to help them out and see how we can build a storefront with them.
And obviously, there's a lot more than go just to get a store going, right? What else are you collaborating with? I know they have a website. When I spoke to the partners over there, they were quite unique individuals. I loved their vision and how they were helping out the community. And it's just so much more than just this coffee shop.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about it. So the coolest thing about it is, so pre-COVID, they have a truck, and it's this old French vehicle called the Citroën that they had retrofitted. So they brought it over from Europe, and they retrofitted it, and it's basically a coffee truck on wheels, and it drives all around Los Angeles. And it's this like beautiful, iconic vehicle where at a minimum people want to take pictures with it, even for their weddings. And they called me. So COVID hits. Obviously, all these businesses are trying to figure out what is their next move. And they call me and say, "Hey, Diego, we're thinking about selling Sunny." Sunny's the name of this like iconic, beautiful yellow truck. And I'm like, why would you do that? It's your whole brand. It's your whole identity. That's how people remember you and connect with you guys. And it's also an expression of what you want the world to see in relation to your brand. And so this led us down the path of thinking, well, how can we preserve Sunny? Another challenge with the vehicle, there's only one mechanic in LA that has an expertise to fix, this 1950s vehicle. And so that does not bode well for a business either. And so the concept was, can we put Sunny inside of a vehicle? And we reached out to this West Hollywood City Council and the mayor and said, hey, crazy idea. Do you think we can do this before? We know it's never been done in the city, but it seems feasible from an engineering perspective. And here we are a few months later, and we're just so happy that we're able to start construction now, and we'll be bringing Sunny into the West Hollywood location right on Santa Monica Boulevard. And of course, we're going to have an amazing plant wall thanks to PlantX, and we're excited. Hopefully this thing will be open by the beginning of May.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's right on Santa Monica and Fairfax, I believe, right? And the amount of exposure that's seen is quite remarkable. And again, we're just so honored that you believed enough in PlantX as a young company to include us into this incredible project that you've put forward. And I know you deal with tons of entrepreneurs, and what kind of impact have you seen with COVID? And, I know here you're really drawing to the coffee space. I believe everybody always wants to drink coffee, but maybe you want to speak a little bit about the impact of COVID and what you've seen out there.
Yeah, on our podcast, we've at least interviewed a different founder, at least one every week. And what we've learned is that all these entrepreneurs had to face some challenges. So whether it's their supply chain issues, or whether it's just their businesses is just getting destroyed. Even some that were aligned with retail are all of a sudden not. And they've all pivoted into the only thing that was working in some cases. And so a lot of the entrepreneurs we've spoken to had to pivot hard, or just instead of experimenting on, oh, what if we try this market or this market or this market? And what they leaned into was one of two things. They leaned into one thing that was working for them financially. And so if they were in the grocery store, they just shut everything else down and focused all their products on being in the grocery store. If they couldn't do that, then they focused on education. And so whether they're creating products that are bringing some sort of new science into the market, then they focus big time on Instagram, social media, and educating the consumer on the value of their product and the value of their brand. And it's kind of one of those things, like, control what you can control. And I would say 95% of the entrepreneurs that I've spoken to, the founders of, and these are companies of all sizes, some household names, some of them have broken records. Like they've never done better. And so I think the coolest stories I have too are like some all did hero pay. And so they immediately increased the pay of all their workers. Some even went as far as delivering groceries to all their workers. And so really they put a huge emphasis on, let's do right by our people. They've even set up like remote meditation, remote wellness visits. And so it's just the level of care that I think some of the founders I've spoken to has been refreshing at best, because I think if we all watch the news, it doesn't always make us feel so fuzzy. But in talking to the founders, it's been great. A lot of them have leaned into what works and are seeing success.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, especially to come together. That's what I've noticed during COVID. Everybody's really come together around the world to really want to go that extra mile to help one another out, especially on the business side of things, all the collaborations out there, even what you guys have done for us. We're really big on the whole collaboration front and everything of that nature. And Diego, we have you on the show today, and obviously our viewers, our investors, our shareholders, our customers don't get that opportunity to speak to you all the time, and you took time out of your evening to join us. So this show's live. We'd love to get the feedback, guys. Any comments? Again, thumbs up. When you give us all these thumbs up, it really helps the video get out there, shares and all of that. And we wouldn't be at over 1,600 investors already if it wasn't for you guys going ahead and sharing our videos with your friends and family and what PlantX stands for. So, we have a little more time with Diego today. I'll ask him one more question before we open up the floor to everybody, but it would be fantastic for you guys to get really active here. Last week, we couldn't even get to all of the questions for the first time during our podcast. So, on that note, please go ahead and send. And, in Montreal this past week, I bumped into Debbie Hoffman, who right away loves what PlantX is doing. She wanted to give incredible feedback right away, saying how many new products she could bring to the table with her relationships and all her partnerships out there that she has. So this week we want to go ahead and send her out the espresso lovers basket. It was put together by our marketing team. Again, it's a great basket. I'm sure it'll come across the screen. There it is. And, thank you very much for the feedback. And again, this is somebody who's an investor in our company who just loves what we're doing and felt the need to share what we're doing really well and how we could get to the next level. So thanks for that. And Diego, you're in the mecca of plant-based living, Los Angeles, and there's endless opportunities for vegan companies to work with and plant-based companies to work with. Originally, our PR company connected us, but you probably get inquiries all the time. What drew you to PlantX, and why do you see this partnership being so fantastic?
There's a couple things. I think one of the things that I always look for in working with people are just like who they are and what they're about. And I know when we had the first call and even just some emails that we traded, I just felt like there was an energy that you were bringing in, a different spin that you were bringing to this. And it's also nice to meet like an entrepreneur who has been there before in some capacity, where partnerships become vital to success. And I think there's I know early on, a lot of early entrepreneurs avoid the partnerships. They think it's a bit of a distraction. And when I met you guys and saw what you guys were working, I thought, this could be a big win-win for all involved here. And And that was it. I think it was that simple. We put it out into the world, and you guys said, I think we're the right fit too. And sometimes it's that nice and that simple, and I'm so happy it all worked out.
Awesome. Thanks, Diego, for those comments. And we actually had a viewer write in, and I think this is a great question because I know there is something a little special to it. What makes a farm cup coffee different? What about the beans? What about the products and all of that?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, these guys really, the founders of the farm cup coffee trade, they literally spend, like weeks on end with the farmers, and they go as far as sleeping in these places that are super remote. I mean, you're not eating at a restaurant, you're eating from the land for weeks and weeks, and they're really understanding the bean, its makeup, its composition, the right way to roast a certain bean. And so just that level of care, I think, it's something that most people wouldn't do. I mean, just going to a place where beans are grown is alone a challenge. It's not just like you're not taking an airplane in a car. You're taking an airplane, a car, maybe a moto taxi, in these far places without any sort of directions, and you may or may not speak the language. And when these guys, when I understood just how much they cared about the farmer, right? Their whole emphasis was on the impact and the direct trade, and really, really, really trying to benefit the farmer and the people that produce the bean. That was it. Outside of it is obviously you have to roast it, and then you got to make this delicious coffee. And so once they have the bean, these guys make four signature cocktails, I call them. They're not cocktails, but they're called like the artist, the poet, the nomad. And so let's say, Sean, you come to Farm Cup Coffee and you've ordered the artist. And so, once your coffee's ready, they'll say Sean the artist, and then you'll go ahead and enjoy this lavender-based amazing almond milk latte. And it's just done with that level of care, that level of niceness, and there's different spices inside. And so it's the full circle, right? It starts with the ethos of as just supporting the farmer, and then all the way to how do we make sure that our customer, Sean the artist, understands how delicious and how much care is placed in this coffee or in this latte. And I just love that. I just love when people go a little bit above and beyond what you see today in the world.
Yeah, no, I love what they stand for. And we got a second question in regards to, will we carry their products in our cafes as well as our website? And we're here to support. That's why we do it. We don't do it just for the one-off location on a little bit of education. It's what do we work together on? At the end of the day, we all have a limited amount of bandwidth, what we put our time into. So once we've started this collaboration with the people you've brought forward, as well as yourself, and hopefully many more entrepreneurs that you introduce us to, and we'll definitely support it every way we can. And again, Diego, for you to take time out of your evening to join us, I know you're extremely busy. We gratefully appreciate it over here, and really looking forward to coming to visit you in Los Angeles for the grand opening. Hopefully you had a chance to be on your Vodcast or your podcast, not to be pushy or anything, obviously.
No, of course. We'd love to have you. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks, Diego, and look forward to seeing you soon. And so, once again, these are the unique partnerships that we're forming at PlantX. And I could tell you, we get endless inquiries for partnerships, and we do our due diligence and we do our research. And after 19 podcasts, again, I'm always blown away by the number, how it keeps increasing. I think you see the quality of partners that we bring on. And again, I know I've said this before, where 1 + 1 to me does not equal 2. It actually equals 11. And when you have someone like Diego, who has the experience he has, it leads into so much more. So we look for these unique opportunities where we could put the PlantX flag in an unbelievable location and partner with incredible people for us to keep building what we're building. What we did in 2020 is remarkable. Micro-cap company in Canada, surpassing $200 billion market cap, no debt whatsoever, with $7 million cash in the bank, closing 2 acquisitions. What we have been working on since January 1st, 2021 is just so exciting. I can't wait to keep sharing with everybody who joins us each week. And again, thank you very much for taking the time to join us each week and share these videos. Please keep sharing. We want PlantX to be a household name in North America. and throughout the world eventually. And again, thanks. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. Until next week, stay curious, stay planted, stay healthy. Cheers.